it's Affy, and today I am here to do the mid-year book Freakout tag. It is a little bit late because it's now July, but I wanted to get this done for you guys. It's been like 2 months since I've posted anything, so I figured I'd come back with a tag. So I'm gonna just hop right in and we'll get started. Okay, so the first question is best book so far this year, and I have two. So for some of these questions, I have more than one answer. So for this one, I have two answers. I'm going to start with The Earl Takes All by Lorraine Heath. I read this pretty early in the year, and this book I gave 6 stars. I really enjoyed it. It's about twin brothers. One of them dies. The other one basically takes over as his brother to make sure that his brother's pregnant wife doesn't lose her baby. And it's a bonkers plot, but it works. Like somehow it's so romantic, and I just love this book. The second book that I love this year and would call best, I'm going to say co-best. Yeah, co-best books of the year. Was A Scoundrel of Her Own by Stacey Reed. This is another book that I gave 6 stars. I love this book so much. I can't even tell you how, like, it is just, my heart gives out when I think about this book. It gives very much, again, the magic vibes, and I really love, again, the magic as well. I would say that is one of my favorite books, or at least was, until I read this, and this just kind of knocked it out of the park for me. I truly love this book. So yeah, those two would be the best books that I've read this year so far. Oh, and I forgot, I have a third book actually that I put on my list of best books I read this year. I'm sorry, I don't know how I missed it. But this is a book I actually just finished reading. So this is Married by Morning by Lisa Kleypas. This is another book that I gave 6 stars to. I really thoroughly enjoyed this book. I don't know what it was. I guess because I'd been looking forward to this character's story for like several books. So by the time I got to it, I was pretty excited, and it lived up to whatever it was I was hoping for. Like I loved it. This is Leo Hathaway's book. He's the eldest brother of the Hathaways, and he's hilarious. I just think he's so funny. And it's a bit of a, I'm not going to say enemies to lovers, but it's definitely dislike to lovers, and they fall really hard, and I love this. This was such a good one. So yeah, all 3 of the books that I would say are the best books so far for me this year have been 6 stars. So yeah. Okay, so question number 2 is best sequel so far this year, and I have only one for this one. There were a couple books where I was like, it's close, but it's not really there. But this one, I love this one. This is The Lady Gets Lucky by Joanna Shupe. This is the second book in the Fifth Avenue Rebels, and Kit and Alice are just everything. They're everything. I don't know what it is about this book, but no, I do. I think it's the fact that Kit is so supportive of Alice, and you know, she's a very shy person, but she takes a chance, and it ends up working out for her, and they're just so cute together. They're just perfect for each other. I don't know what else to say about it, but this was a good one. I gave this 5 stars. The first book in this series was a bit disappointing, so maybe that's part of the reason I was so thrilled with the second book, but I really like this one. So 5 stars, The Lady Gets Lucky. I would reread it, right now. Like, it was pretty good. So another new release that I haven't read this year yet but want to is actually a series by Alyssa Braden. Biggest disappointment so far this year. So I have two books for that. The first one was Eloisa James. This is A Kiss at Midnight. This is part of, sorry, I'll show you that. This is part of, I think, her fairy tale series. I don't know for sure the name of it. I really enjoyed the first book, which was a Beauty and the Beast retelling, or at least the first book that I read in the series. Again, I don't know what the order is for these, but I've heard that you don't have to read them in order because they're each, again, fairy tales. But yeah, this one just didn't do it for me. I had a hard time getting into it. I felt like it was taking so long for the hero and the heroine to actually even have a conversation with them. I got to maybe half of the book and they had only spoken to each other maybe 2 or 3 times. The majority of the book so far at that point was about her aunt, who I guess was supposed to be the fairy godmother. And while she was really, really funny, I just wasn't getting enough of the hero and the heroine. So I ended up DNFing this book. I really wanted to like it, but it just wasn't doing it for me. So the second book that was a pretty, I wouldn't say huge disappointment, but because of who the author is, I was a little bit let down, was Nighthawk by Beverly Jenkins. This book I listened to on audiobook, and I am wondering if maybe that's part of the reason I didn't enjoy it. There were parts of it that I don't know if I fell asleep or I just wasn't listening. I feel like that could have been part of why I didn't enjoy the book very much, but it just wasn't, I just wasn't into it. I ended up DNFing this one towards the end of the book. But at that point it was because there was a scene of like animal death or something. And I just didn't want to listen to that. At that point I was like, well, I don't really know what's happening anyways. And now animals are dying. So I'm just going to stop here. So I was kind of sad about that. I really love Beverly Jenkins, but it is what it is. You know, you're not gonna love every single book by your favorite author. So it's fine. It's fine. So the next question is about the biggest surprise so far this year. I have 2. Again, I've always got 2. The first one is I just picked this up randomly because I needed something to add to my list. I had finished all the books on my TBR for the month and just wanted to add something else. I'm so sorry if you can hear Valentine barking. She's enjoying herself on the balcony, but she's also hearing all the neighbors, so she's saying hi to the neighbors basically. Anyways, so the first book was by Suzanne Enoch. This is By Love Undone. And this book is kind of old. I don't know why. I just looked up Suzanne Enoch books, and this was the first of a series that she has. And so I was like, well, I have that book. It was kind of at the top of the pile, and so I just grabbed it, and I really ended up loving this book. I'm trying to think. It's pretty funny. I think I'm kind of surprised by how funny her books are. I've read, I think, 1 or 2 other books by her. Not only are they pretty funny, they tend to have a very action-packed ending. All her books have, like the plots are good, and then you get to the end and it's just like action-packed. And I really like that about her books. There's still the romance, but there's also like another aspect to the story, and I really like that about her stories. So I really like this one. It's a bit of a dislike to love. Again, we're not going to say enemies to lovers, but dislike to love. And it's just done really well. I really like it. I love the characters. They're pretty pretty funny. So yeah. The other book that was my biggest surprise was One Man's Love by Karen Rainey. This was my first Karen Rainey book. And this one, it's basically about a guy. He's Scottish and British. His mother was Scottish, his father was British, and so as a child he would go to Scotland, but something happens and he stops going. And he grows up, he joins the British military, and he ends up coming back. And nobody remembers him, but he remembers the woman that he played with as a child there. And it's their romance. They fall in love, and it's a really, really beautiful story. She takes actual historical facts and weaves them in through the story. And I love the way she did that. This again is another action packed, especially towards the end book. It's pretty angsty. So I really love this one. I'm super excited to read the rest of this series. So Karen Rainey, One Man's Love. So number 7 is my new favorite debut author, and I have 1 for this one. I didn't end up reading this with the book. I actually ended up reading this through the audiobook, but the audiobook was amazing. But that would be Sheree Lynn, Love and War. This is about, it's basically a World War II interracial couples romance, and it's very short. I think it's only about maybe 200 something pages. And there's obviously a lot of historical facts in there, but I just really loved it. It was super angsty, of course. Definitely had me on my on my, like, just a little terrified at parts, but it's a beautiful, beautiful story. The epilogue is amazing, and her writing is just beautiful. So, Sheree Lynn, if you haven't read this book yet, I would definitely do so. So the next question is about a new to me, or new favorite authors. And I have 3. I've got Sophie Jordan, Suzanne Enoch, and Karen Rainey, and I've already showed some books from from 2 of them. I don't have a Sophie Jordan book in front of me, but I've been reading one of her series. I think it's the Rogue Files. Is it the Rogue Files? And that series has been pretty good. I've really enjoyed it. I love her writing. She gives me kind of like Tessa Dare vibes somewhat. And of course I really love Tessa Dare, so yeah, she's a good one. Suzanne Enoch, like I said earlier, her books tend to have a good romance, but also like a fun action plot to them. And so that's another author that I think I've read. I think this was the 3rd book of hers that I've read, and I really liked all her books that I've read so far. So loving Suzanne Enoch. And then Karen Rainey, I've only read the 1 book by her, but I loved it so much that I'm ready to read way more books by her. And I have actually a haul coming up. I bought so many of her books during this haul, so you'll get to see that. It's a huge stack. So I'm definitely looking forward to reading more from her. So number 9 is newest fictional crush. I have 2, of course. So my first is Kit Ward from The Lady Gets Lucky, of course. Like I said earlier, he's just the most supportive, sweet man. I just love him. He's everything I want and more. But he's just, what can I say about Kit? First of all, he's pretty open to Alice's ridiculous idea of doing lessons in seduction. You know, at first he's kind of like, what? But he goes with it, and of course it leads to him finding the love of his life. But he's definitely, I would say the thing that I love about him is how supportive he is to her. He cares for her so much, and yeah, so he's super supportive to her. I don't want to give away the story, but if you read it or you have read it, you know kind of what her story is and how he supports her in the book. And so that's something I really love about him. And then the other is Devlin Byrne from A Scoundrel of Her Own. He is so sweet and so loving, and he is obsessed with our heroine. Like, he definitely falls for her first, and he is so willing to just wait for her no matter what, because she's the only one for him. And I think I said it the last time, he's a scrumdiddlyumptious man, and he's everything that I would want and more. He's so great. I love Devlin Byrne. So yeah, those are my two new crushes. And yeah, I tried to think of any more, but these are the only two that came to mind for me. So I think they're great options. So if you've read either or both of those books, you might understand why they're my faves. So my newest favorite character, this is different from characters that are a crush, so this is just a fave character, is Teresa July from Wild Sweet Love. She basically used to be an outlaw, and she was an outlaw with her three brothers. They would rob trains, and she is just she's so innocent but so badass at the same time. I just love her character. The thing that I love about her the most is Teresa July is our outlaw queen. I'm gonna say it that way. So number 11 is a book that made me cry. I could think of only one book. I'm sure there might have been others that maybe there was a tear or two. But this one definitely caught my heartstrings, and that's Never Seduce a Scot by Maya Banks. The story behind this one just tugged at my heartstrings, and you really feel for our heroine. She goes through it. She goes through it. She does not have a good time. Even after she marries the hero, things don't get much better for her. And so I think that was a lot of what kind of made me get to the point where I did cry, was just kind of what she has to go through and the way that he supports her and loves her through all of it. It's a beautiful one. It's a really beautiful story. I'm actually currently reading the second book in the series, and it's about the brother of the hero. So this was a good one. I feel like Maya Banks does pull at your heartstrings sort of situations pretty well, just based off of the book I'm currently reading. So who knows, maybe I'll cry at the second book. So the next one is Books That Made Me Happy. And again, these are going to be two books that I've already done, but I'm going to do them again. Wild Sweet Love, like I said, Teresa July is just a character that I loved. Like, I could not put this book down because I just enjoyed reading about her so much. And then A Scoundrel of Her Own. Again, this is my newest fave book in general. In this book, again, I could not put it down. I just sped through this book. I was obsessed. I was obsessed when I finished this. I immediately wanted to reread it after having just finished it. So if that doesn't tell you something, I don't know what does. Number 13 is Prettiest Book Bought This Year. So I have 3 of them. They are hardcovers, and they're actually older books, but I just love the covers on these. These are all by Kat Martin. We have Creole Fires. I love the covers. They're just so gorgeous. Here's a little step back on the back of it. Natchez Flame. I hope I'm saying that right. That one doesn't have a back cover. And then Savannah Heat. And I'm pretty sure all of these are American-based books, but I have yet to read them. I just remember when I saw the covers on eBay, I was like, I must have those. So beautiful. So yeah, those are the 3 that I picked just simply because I love the realistic art is so good, and then the poses are beautiful, and yeah, I just love them. Question 14 is books that I need to read by the end of the year, and I do have another duplicate, but The Duke Gets Even by Joanna Shupe. Again, this is because I'm almost done with this series, so this is high on my priority list. And then another one that I hope to get to by the end of this year, but I maybe won't, just based off of the fact that I'm trying to backlist this author right now, is Lorraine Heath, The Counterfeit Scoundrel. This is the first book in her newest series. It's called The Chessmen, Masters of Seduction. I'm currently reading another series from her, and I think it's got like 6 or 7 books. So I've got a little whiles to go before I get to the point where I can start another series of hers. But my hope is that I'll be able to get to this one. I know there's already a second book that has come out for this series, or is about to come out, I believe. So she's churning them out. So I gotta get to it. Number 15 is favorite book or movie adaptation. I feel like there are none, honestly. Yeah, outside of Queen Charlotte, but the book kind of came out with the movie, and I haven't read the book, but I have, or sorry, show. I haven't read the book, but I have seen the show, which was amazing. It made me cry like multiple times. But that's the only one I can think of. And again, that's more based off of a character from a show and not an actual book. So I don't really have an answer for this one. Maybe by the end of the year, maybe by next year there'll be one. I know the 3rd season of Bridgerton is supposed to be coming out, and I am looking forward to that one. I have read that book. Wasn't my favorite in the series, but I'm still looking forward to the TV show. So, yeah. So those are all my answers for the mid-year book Freakout tag. If you have any questions or you've read any of these books, and you have like thoughts about them, leave them in the comment section below. Otherwise, leave me a dog emoji, just because Valentine's here and she's being loud and obnoxious today. So leave me a dog emoji, and let me know what you think about my answers to the mid-year book Freakout tag. Thanks for watching. Bye.